Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Gauri Narayani Namostate. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samsita. Namaste Namaste Namo Namaha. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 24th of April 2025. We are continuing to examine Vivekchudamani, verse number 75, and its detailed exposition from diverse perspectives. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Paramatma residing in the heart of every single being. Now we are trying to understand the basic concepts of Advaita Vedanta, which basically is stating that we are that supreme consciousness. Now to realize this truth, step by step, there is a whole series of different ideas that come together, and we are trying to present them and trying to understand them. So if you look at on the screen here, hopefully you can see this. If you're using a phone, you can turn your phone vertically or horizontally so you can see this better. You will notice here that on the screen it says Nam, Roop and the veil of Maya. So according to Shankaracharya, the empirical world is constituted by Nam, Roop, or name form constructs. These are adhyasa. This word comes again and again. Superimposition upon the substratum of Brahman, the unchanging non-dual reality. There's three words here to make sure we are clear. Brahman is that infinite, unchanging, non-dual reality. That is the actual reality that exists. Now, what we are seeing outside the world of name and form, that is called the world of names and forms, or name form constructs, Nam Rupa. And they are superimposition upon the substratum of Brahman. So the superimposition is called adhyasa. Let's try to understand this concept of superimposition a little bit more clearly. Many examples have been given. We've already talked about them, but I want to make sure that they're very clear, that the terminology should be extremely clear in our minds, right? So the word adhyas means superimposition. Nam, Roop is adhyas. Nam means name and form. Everything that is known through our five senses has name and form. Isn't it so? Everything, all objects do. Like the mountain in the back, the trees in the back. There's a name, there's a form. This body has a name, this body has a form. These glasses have a name, glasses have a form. Pencil has a name, pencil has a form. Everything is name and form. So name and form is superimposition on the one reality. Now let's look at some examples to make sure this is clear. Gold and the ornaments. Ornaments are forms. Gold is only one, right? Clay and pot. These are simple examples. Clay is only one. Pots can be many. You go to a pottery store, thousands of different formulations of clay are there, but its substance is only clay. Similarly, there's the body, the mind, the senses, the intellect, the buddhi, our life that we have. This is what? This is superimposition on Brahman only. So what is our essential nature? Brahman. We are that Sat Chit Ananda. But the Satchidananda, through its own power of Mahamaya, it projects itself as Jivatma. Now this is very interesting. That who am I really? Sachin and my thoughts and my limitations inside my buddhi and all my experiences. That is an experience through the power of Maya that Brahman itself is experiencing. So the Brahman is now in the modality of Jivatma. As per Advaita Vedanta, the other forms of Vedanta have different perspectives on this. Let's just understand this clearly, that there is no plurality of Jivatma. Generally we think, well, okay, Sachin has Jivatma, a dog has Jivatma, somebody else has Jivatma, my brother has Jivatma, my mother has, each Jivatma is separate. That's what Ramanujacharya would say, Jainism would say that, other acharyas would say that each Jivatma is separate. But they cannot say it's completely separate also, because it is still Vishishta Advaita. It is like the light of Brahman, the light of the body of God. That's what they would say. So it's not completely separate the way we might think it is. In Advaita Vedanta, it's called Eka Jiva Vada, that there's only one tattva that is appearing itself in infinite formulations. And that realization, sorry, these allergies are getting to me a little bit here. These experiences of my body, mind, senses go on in life, right? But those experiences, who is having those experiences? That tattva that is experiencing all of the anubhav, that is the Atma Tattva. Now to awaken into that is realization. That is called self-realization. To awaken not just intellectually, but actually to awaken that I am Brahman, would mean that one is no longer getting drawn inside the limitations caused by Mahamaya. It's like asking the question, why does Maya exist? There's no answer to that question. That question is called a type error or category error in philosophy. If you ask the question, why does Maya exist? The question covertly transports empirical predicates into an ontological zone where they're meaningless. I know that's a complicated sentence. It's called a category error. It's like asking, past, present, future, why do they exist if Brahman is the only reality? Well, they don't exist actually. From the point of view of Brahman, there is no existence of that. But underneath the influence of Maya, it is a different category. It is a different layer of reality. So it exists at that layer. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a dog. You have a pet at home, right? What is the experience of the dog? The dog is sitting in the same room you're sitting in, but Pashu ka jo anubhav hai, because of the senses and the limitations of the senses, they have a strong sense of hearing, they have a strong sense of smell, but they don't see the world like we do. Their experience of the room that we're sitting in is not like our experience. Because of the body, the mind, senses are of different type. Isn't it so? The same thing is true with a bird. If you have a parakeet bird, or if you have a neon fish, a bird, a dog, and we are there. Each being is going to have experience of the same reality in its own way. It's a category. It is a layer of reality it is experiencing based on the body that is available, based on the body it is living through. All right. If you understand this point, then if we awaken out of the body consciousness, out of the limitations, then the Brahman can be realized through the human body. The other bodies, you cannot realize Brahman through the other bodies. Those other bodies are there just to experience the karma. That's what Vedanta teaches, and the whole Sanatana Dharma teaches that. But human body is the one body, which is very rare, where one can awaken into the realization of Atman and Brahman, because the body is constructed for that purpose. To find the way back into what you really are. So, even in Taittiriya Upanishad, Shankaracharyaji's Bhasyam in the Taittiriya Upanishad 11.8, he says there, any attempt to fasten a priori to the universe supports a temporal backdrop independent of the universe, undermining the very coherence of before and after. Before and after are there in our experience. But to say that this before and after is applicable to Brahman is a mistake in terms of the fact that one is making a category error. The category is totally different. It is at a higher, extraordinary level. It's like a pilot, flying at 50,000 or 40,000 feet up in the air above the clouds, and says everything is just clouds, and underneath the clouds you've got all this land mass. It's a vast reality. Okay, that's true. But the person standing on the ground says, no, I see houses and trees, and I see plants and other things like this. You see, so what do you mean? What do you mean that everything is just vast reality? Who is right and who is wrong? Nobody's right and wrong in that. They're both correct, but the level of perception is different. When we are within space-time causality, in living in our life with raga and dvesha and mamatva and all of those limitations, then we are bound inside the limited material experiences within space-time causality, kala, nimitta, all those ideas we were talking about last several days. We're just stuck in that. But the same person sitting in their meditation, sitting in their dhyan, in their bhakti, in their yoga, whatever, awakens out of those things. Brahmani hai. जहां आप हमारा अस्तित्व जहां है वहां ही realization है. Realization is where we are. If we can awaken out of this, it's not a question of going somewhere. You may go. There's no question. People go to retreats, yoga centers, they go to teachers, gurus, this and that. Those are also within Maya, by the way. Believe it or not, because that is a means to try to awaken to where you are. If it's a matter of awakening, then you can awaken anytime. But that's why Guru is needed. Guru Tattva, the Vivekchudamani is a Guru, Shankaracharya ji is Guru, Bhagavad Gita is Guru. When it comes inside and we internalize it inside, we are awakened. Awakening is not some external phenomena where 100 people are going to say that now you're awakened. It's not validation through externalities. No, it's not like that. It is Swayam Jyoti. Atma Tattva is called Swayam Jyoti. Jyoti means what? Jyoti means light, right? Isn't it so? So what is the Atma Tattva? It is divine light. But you see, when we use the word light, again, that is not the right word. That's a Western word. These words are not these Western words have infiltrated into the Sanskrit language in a very wrong way. So the word Jyoti doesn't mean light. The word Jyoti means, in terms of Brahman, it means conscious, extraordinary, non-material reality. That is what the word Jyoti means when the Atma is described as Swayam Jyoti. But when we say Atma is some light, this is totally ridiculous. These Western words don't belong in this language, unfortunately. They don't belong anywhere in this language because they contaminate the meaning, actually. Now, I'm not criticizing anything in the Western language. They have their system that they have developed through their mental framework or whatever they have developed. You cannot put those words into this language. That distort, but we don't have a choice, so we have to try to clarify it even much, much more to try to understand what the word means. Like when we use the word Atman and we say Atma is Swayam Jyoti, Swayam Prakash. Swayam means it is independent luminosity. Now see, this is we have to use the Western words because we don't have a choice. And many of the Western words are not even there in the Eastern language. So it goes both ways. There's no criticism of anything, but we have to be careful about language, very careful about language. You see, so Swayam Jyoti means it is a natural, independent luminosity. That is what you are, that is not dependent on external stimuli. And even to explain this, you would need 100 pages to explain this idea. Just this one idea, what is the Atma Tattva? Now, this is in terms of intellectual explanation. Anubhav ki baat alag hai. The pilot that is flying at 40,000 feet in the 747 Boeing jet, I don't know if you ever have opportunity to go and sit with I had one time in my life I had that opportunity. And to go into the cockpit, the plane is on cruise control. You cannot hear any sound over there. There's no sound of the engines. Kuch bhi nahi. You feel like you're floating in the space. You can see, that's it, The movement is very minuscule. You cannot even feel that you're moving. Ye anubhav hai. This is anubhav. This is our goal. It's not about language and it's not about traditions and all those things. Everything is fine. We want to be clear, no doubt. But intellectual is only one level. Anubhav is the real level. Actually sitting in that pilot seat, being in that cockpit and seeing that vast, वो एक अनुभव है, vast experience. That is experience. That is aparoksha anubhuti. Brahman is aparoksha anubhuti. It is not intellectual ideas, intellectual games. No, it is not that. There are a lot of ideas. There are thousands of ideas. You can write dissertations. People have written. Thousands of dissertations have been written on Advaita Vedanta. Fine, do it. It's a very good thing to do. It's like somebody on the ground writing an analysis of what it's like to fly 40,000 feet up based on all the research, but has never actually gone up there. So think about it. And somebody, a 7-year-old child who doesn't know anything, actually goes over there, sits with his father, who's an airline pilot. He said, "Come inside." Uska anubhav ho gaya. Which one is greater? The people who are writing these 80,000 pages about what it's like to fly over there, or somebody, child who has gone and seen that. Anubhav par drishti rakhni. That's what Bhagavan Krishna is teaching in the Gita. He's not teaching just abstract philosophy. He's teaching that you live in this world with a fully awakened vision. That is, all 18 yogas are there in the Bhagavad Gita. It is about awakening. Yeah? And he says it beautifully, right? Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sayyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. You are awakened to the highest of reality. The satsang continues, manan, chintan, bhajan, kirtan continues, and the awakening happens. One snaps out of the bondages of kal, karma, desh, kal, kriya, all of this. One snaps out of this. And when you snap out of it, the mind is absolutely open. As in the words of J. Krishnamurti, the awakening of the non-mechanical, non-fragmented aspects of the mind and the brain. When J. Krishnamurti spoke, he spoke directly from that awakened state, constantly. He's speaking only from Brahman. This is again our interpretation. He doesn't use the word Brahman. The point here is that Anubhav mein drishti rakhni. And to do that, the mind, we always talk about cleaning up our life and purifying. Those are all initial stages. But as we go further, what is it that happens? One snaps out of the plurality, and the reality appears, the reality manifests itself, and that is called Swayam Jyoti, that is called Brahma Prakash. मुक्तानंद स्वामी जी कहते, भगवान स्वामीनारायण के बड़े संत थे, जा लगी दिल डग मगे नव ब्रह्म प्रकाश रे. अब ब्रह्म प्रकाश है क्या? What is the meaning of ब्रह्म प्रकाश? We have Surya Prakash. Surya Narayan ka Prakash hai. Brahma ka Prakash. The word Prakash is used, but if we said that just means light, it's not like a light in terms of the light of this physical world. Even Jesus in the New Testament, he says the light has come into the world. He's using the same word. But is he talking about sunlight or moonlight? That is a divine consciousness. You see, look at the New Testament. If you go through New Testament carefully, you will see a lot of similarity in terms of these words themselves. You see, so it's amazing stuff. Every tradition has its own glory. We just need to be careful about how these words are used, because they can create a misinterpretation. So the word jyot or jyoti or divyata, like divinity, we can say divinity means divyata. Close words are there. But divya anubhav, aparoksha anubhuti. Abhi iska translation aap kya karenge? You see, or from the Western side, if you say the synaptogenesis of the brain, there's no words for that inside the Gujarati or Hindi or Marathi language for the synaptogenesis. I mean, you could probably have some exposition on that, but there's no exact word. Anyway, the point is, let's close with this one simple point here, that the reality of Advaita is awakening exactly where you are. It's not about going somewhere to realize that if I take these 100 steps, then I will realize. That's totally wrong. Those steps are all within Maya. All sadhana is within Maya. There's no sadhana to awaken. The sadhana is to realize simply that there is no sadhana to awaken. That is why we do sadhana, to realize there is no sadhana. Think about that. When we do 9 forms of devotion, we purify the mind, and then the mind becomes very steady. Then there's no sadhana there. There's anubhav. So sadhana doesn't take one anywhere. This is the whole point. Does it mean you don't do sadhana? Keep doing sadhana to realize there is no sadhana. I know it's a tricky thing to understand. Anyway, we'll pick it up next time. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurame Deva Sarvakari Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Om Durga Rakshani Tha Swaha Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Vame Yasya Siddharada Shrisha Yasya Asti Vakshasi Vrindavana Viharam Tam Shri Krishnam Rudi Chinte Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha.